So campus occupation didn't work. So is violence now the answer for these college protesters? Let's talk about it on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is Kimberly McNabb. So a group of pro-Palestinian students at Columbia University are scaling up their rhetoric against Israel, calling for liberation by any means necessary, including armed resistance. So they're up in their game, these college protesters. In a statement posted to Instagram, Columbia University Apartheid Divest rescinded its apology made in April on behalf of a member who told school officials, "Be grateful that I'm not just going out and murdering Zionists." I want to be clear. This is a student that posted this. His organization apologized for it, but now they have rescinded the apology, effectively making it so that going out and murdering Zionists is part of their mantra.
Well, school's back in season with the Hamasniks are back out full swing.
Well, student-led protests have caused an uproar, creating backlash for school administrators who are navigating the right to free speech while preventing threats of violence or anti-Semitism. Statements advocating for violence or harm are anti-ethical to the core principles upon the institution was founded. Calls for violence have no place at Columbia University or any university, a Columbia spokesperson recently said. But students protesting at Columbia are not softening their stance or their language. If you remember last year, there were massive occupations of multiple campuses throughout the nation. And to say that they were peaceful is a misrepresentation of what was happening. There was destruction of property going on. There was people prevented from going to their classes.
Which I say is a theft of service, which
Absolutely.
The dean should care about.
Yeah, they paid their tuition. And there were multiple videos where Jewish students were like, look, I paid to be here. I'm just trying to get to class. I don't want to go ahead and do all your hate speech and everything that you want to do. And were forcibly not permitted to go to their class. I mean, to me, that's interrupting a highway, obstructing a highway, by physically touching people and not letting them pass. That's assault. And, now we're seeing all of this happening again.
Well, I just want the deans to think if students for the KKK were out and blocking black students from getting to class, would they be so soft, or would they be hauled off to jail and kept there? I wonder what would happen.
I know exactly what would happen. I mean, this would be shut down. That would be shut down so quickly. But because this is, students thinking that they're enlightened or something like that, and they get to do whatever they want. No, it's not the way it works.
Well, what's really sad, the students that were arrested at UT Austin last year. There were clips on social media of how they were manhandled and thrown out. And I'm like, yeah, that's how you do it. Well, guess what? They didn't spend any time in jail. So I'm very disappointed about that.
Well, you don't learn your lesson when that happens.
Exactly. But, this is not the only instance of the school year this far of Jewish students getting attacked. At the University of Pittsburgh campus late Friday, 2 Jewish students were attacked by a man wearing a Palestinian scarf and yielding a bottle. Now, this was not a student. Jarrett Bubba, 52 years old. First of all, aren't you supposed to be at work? And what are you doing hanging around 18-year-olds? Anyway, he was arrested for the assault. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reported. University officials said he had no known affiliation with the school. And, some of the protests last year, the people they interviewed, about 50% on average were not affiliated with the school.
And that's what they talk about, outside agitators, right? And that, there's no outside agitators that are coming in. There were professional protesters that were coming in to organize the students in order to fill their head with glory and
to stoke the fire.
Stoke the fire, yeah, absolutely.
And they're targeting campuses because campuses typically have Hillels, which is a Jewish student center. You're not going to see that in the general public. So easy target.
Yeah, exactly.
And we also have another instance of violence being provoked.
Right. And so this is got posted on TikTok, and the person posted this themselves, but not really realizing, as they're committing this violence, how stupid they actually are. Let's take a look.
Palestine too. Free Palestine, bitch. Look, what you looking at? You know damn well there's a genocide. You know there's a genocide. Now stop it. I'm taking this shit down. I believe this one. Take this one down right here. What are they gonna do? They can't do nothing. I don't stand for it. I don't stand for it. I don't stand for this. There's genocide, and I don't stand for Zionism. Montclair, I don't support it. There's a genocide. You know that, right? They're killing children. What's the purpose? Be proud of your heritage. Y'all understand there's a genocide, right? You understand, right? There's nothing against people who are Jewish, but this is not okay.
This is Ricky.
Who's this?
This is Gyro on the glass.
Really?
Ricky.
Oh, I thought it was Israel. My bad. Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit, my bad.
Well,
My bad is what you say for bumping into someone on the sidewalk.
It looked like Israel. Okay, well, you want it back? Well, I did it already. It's not okay.
Direct
So here we go.
destruction of property. Call the police.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't do nothing. Yeah, they can. They can call the police. So first of all, she needs to learn her country's flags. That was the flag of Greece. Okay.
It's like not all things that are blue and white are related to Israel. What's she going to do next? Attack the sky?
I mean, yeah. I mean, so here she is. She's being violent. She's ripping stuff down. She's destroying property. And just like the vast majority of these protesters, or all these protesters, she's wrong. She's wrong. I mean, you know, you can't make this stuff up. That here she is. She's trying to protest, trying to be this hero, and all she's done is destroy this Greek restaurant that has nothing to do with any of this conflict.
Oh, so it's not just your typical idiot who doesn't know what a genocide actually is, but she doesn't know what the Israeli flag looks like. Hint, they have the Star of David on it.
Right.
Big hint. But, you know, these people, you know, you may think, oh, they just want peace. They don't like the war going on. No. These people don't want peace, and Hamas does not want peace.
War. We are dealing with people with the mentality of the 7th century tribalism. It's not an easy mission for a democracy, for any country, for any modern army, for any civilized society to deal with this. So we need to be reasonable.
We need to be reasonable and understand who we're dealing with.
Exactly. So this is Moshev Yassin, the son of Hamas, talking to Piers Morgan, just shutting down this useful Karen idiot. Hamas does not want peace. They will not show up to the table for a ceasefire. Israel will show up, Biden will show up, Hamas will not show up. And so, you know, you need to understand that these people are using you. These people are using you. Hamas has what's called the CNN plan. They'll rile up everyone's feelings. They understand that the U.S. is full of very emotional people. And guess who also is very emotional, especially emotional? Young people on college campuses. That's why they target you. And they know that the United States schools do not teach an accurate history, or if any history, about Israel. And so they will use you.
To all those students, I say that it's very disappointing to see Americans supporting Hamas and thinking that Hamas is a cool thing. While Hamas does not respect any of those followers, while those followers don't know that Hamas would torture them and massacre them with no mercy, they call them useful idiots. They don't know that Hamas is a dark, black hole.
Yeah, I mean, the first person to use that useful idiots was Stalin in the Soviet Union, and he was talking about the media playing up communism, and he played the media like a violin, and the same thing, called them useful idiots, and that's what Hamas is saying to the American students that are supporting them, useful idiots.
Yep, knowing that CNN would come to their side. But further evidence that Hamas does not ever want peace. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in 2020 rejects the idea of ceasefire, and it will remain at war with Israel until a Palestinian state is established from the river to the sea. That means all of Israel. We cannot exchange for money or projects, give up Palestine and our weapons. We will not give up resistance. We will not recognize Israel-Palestinian must stretch from the river to the Mediterranean Sea. And another Hamas official in April 2023 had a sermon. He prayed for the annihilation and paralysis of the Jews, whom he describes as filthy animals. Does that sound like the language of someone who ever wants peace? No.
Doesn't to me.
No. I mean, you can't negotiate with people like this. And other statements by Hamas officials make clear the terrorist organization disregard for their own loss of civilian life, not only in Israel, but also in Gaza, saying no nation is liberated without sacrifices. In all wars, there are some civilians. And then also Ismail Haniyeh again commented on the loss of civilian life. The blood of the women, children, and elderly are the ones who need this blood, so it awakens within us the revolutionary spirit.
Yeah,
so they're using their own
as human
civilians'
shields.
lives as human shields and as motivation to attack Israel.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in the law of land warfare, which I'm not at all pretending that Hamas is anywhere near a signature of the Geneva Convention or anything like that, because they're a terrorist organization. But still, what they're doing is they're using normally protected sites, such as playgrounds, churches, hospitals, as military operations, right, in order to supposedly prevent attacks happening on those locations. But what happens is when you use a hospital in a war, when you use a school in a war, it loses its protected status, and so it's no longer a hospital. So if you're fighting out of the hospital and planning missions and planning operations and storing weapons and things like that at a hospital, it's no longer a protected site. So if the hospital gets bombed, what CNN says, hey, a hospital got bombed, but in reality, the law of land warfare and the Geneva Convention would say that location lost its protected status.
Yes, and also with college students, they haven't been in the real world, so they don't understand that you can't just say good things and expect it to happen out of thin air. Life is about balance. Right. And so to say that you're on the side of Palestine, well, guess what? Which side is not even trying to protect human life? Hamas. Which side is trying to protect human life? By far, Israel. That's why one reason why they did the pagers, the attack on the pagers, because they knew only Hamas was buying them. They would be the only ones to have them on their person. Well, that is targeted just for the bad people.
Even more than that, there was an order of merit list that Hamas, Hezbollah had. So it was, the highest ranking personnel in the Hezbollah structure that were getting these pagers. So there was a pecking order and order of merit. Not every single Hamas soldier that was a basic equivalent of just a rifleman fighter got that pager. It was mostly leadership and upper management had those, and so they were really targeting the leadership structure of Hamas, and they were obviously successful in doing that.
Babylon Bee had a great meme about the pager attack, and that it was targeted for the upper echelons. Sure. It says, Hamas recruit that's been in for 2 weeks delighted that he got a promotion to regional manager. But there is some sadness in that the when you start teaching people from the age of 2 or, the second they're born, really, that Jews are evil, they should be killed, not just saying it, but, animating your children's cartoons that way.
Right.
And doing math like, okay, I kill one Jew, I kill one Jew. How many dead Jews do I have? 2. That's basically what they're doing. And so when you raise people like that, you kill the top echelon off, yeah, there's just going to be more people to fill that void, and it's never going to end. It's in amongst many examples in the Hamas Charter that they do not want peace, saying there's no solution for Palestinian question except through jihad.
Right.
Hamas Charter, Article 13. And further proof of their intentions.
Palestinians, because actually there is no Palestinians. There are tribes. There is the tribe of Hamas, and there is the tribe of the Islamic Jihad, and there is the tribe of Khalil, and there is the tribe of Nablus, and each one has different interests, and all of them are conflicted. If they did not have Israel as the common enemy, they would kill each other. This is the reality of what's so-called Palestine.
Rhetoric?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look...
He is the son of Hamas. He knows.
Exactly. He knows what he's talking about. He had the education from his father, and he realizes that it's wrong. But he's absolutely right. When you look at, you go back even in the Bible, and you look at the different tribes that were in that area, and even Israel, the Jews had tribes as well. So the whole area and region is very tribal and exists to this day. And so it's disingenuous to say that this is a unified people. I mean, when you...
And if you look up terrorist organizations in that area, there are so many. And yes, they do have a history of killing each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, it's about power. It's about power and control is what they want. And I can promise you that if ISIS and Hamas or Hezbollah, had to do power sharing, they would start fighting each other immediately. They would start fighting each other immediately in order to consolidate power. And so I really think it's kind of disingenuous that they're saying that this is a unified Palestinian effort when it's definitely not. It's definitely not.
And any idiot politician who thinks they can go into the Middle East and solve, Middle East, bring peace to the Middle East is very delusional and has zero knowledge of their Bible. Because this goes back to biblical times, to the book of Genesis. In Genesis 16:12 and 25:18, they're descendants of Ishmael. They're known as Arabs, which means nomads. From the beginning, the descendants of Ishmael were a warlike people. They lived in hostility towards all tribes related to them. And this fulfilled God's earlier word that Ishmael would be a wild donkey of a man. This is biblical words, not my words. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. So this goes back to Genesis. You're not going to solve it.
Yeah, especially you're not going to solve it as an impressionable college student. And
you can't even pick a useful major.
Yeah, I mean, a liberal arts, major in general studies or underwater basket weaving is not going to be, what's necessary for you to be a productive member of society. And so I would challenge these protesters to listen to both sides, to understand the argument.
Read the book of Hamas. Son of Hamas.
Yeah, and understand what it is that you're protesting for, and more importantly, why. But honestly, protesters are just never satisfied. And it's better.
And neither is Hamas.
It's better to nip it in the bud. I mean,
and let Israel handle it.
Yeah, similar trajectory of Israel versus Hamas conflict. End it now, letting it continue only leads to more violence. And I could just see, as these we just showed that instance where a woman thought she was ripping down Israeli flags, and she was ripping down the flags of Greece. These are uneducated people. They got a soundbite.
She may as well be shouting at the sky.
Yeah, I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. If somebody makes a extremely logical argument and they're calm about their argument and they're trying to use proper debate techniques in order to win, that's one thing. But by just ripping stuff down and spewing something that you heard from a sister's friend who saw it on TikTok, who grabbed that from Instagram. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, read the book Son of Hamas because it shows him growing up and watching this death and destruction and getting taught that the Jews are to blame, and starting with Hamas at age 18, and then he sees the violence within itself, like we're beating each other up, we're hurting each other, and then getting eventually recruited by Israel and seeing the way that he was treated within Hamas versus the way he was treated, even though he was, a Palestinian, grew up that way, they knew who his father was, the way he was treated there. So, I mean, it shows good and bad on both sides, and he came out pro-Israel at the end.
Yeah. So we saw this. We wanted to bring it to you. Please, please, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. We're such a small channel, and we need every like that we can get to make sure that our show gets to a broader audience. So please do that for us. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps us out, especially as a small channel. But thank you so much for tuning into Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.